Hi, I'm Cameron. I don't just read comics. I love them. And welcome back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Nightwing by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. Let's just hop into it. So this run collects Nightwing issues number 78 through 118, Nightwing Annual 2021 and Nightwing Annual from 2022. This is a continuation of the Rebirth era Nightwing. This is the Dawn of DC title. It's incredibly accessible to new readers. So if you're brand new, just like hop right in. This run is so strong that I would consider you can just hop right in. You don't really need to know anything about Nightwing. All the key characters that he interacts with are right in this series. This does reference other runs and Nightwing history before it, as well as ties into everything that's going on in the Batman universe, though. So this is technically a Bat family book, and what that means is whatever's happening in Batman is happening to Nightwing if the writers feel like participating in the big Batman events. Usually they are. So it references the Nightwing run by Chuck Dixon and Scott McDaniel, the original characters' first ongoing series, one of the greatest DC comics of all time. It references the New 52. Melinda Zucco's relationship with Nightwing is revealed there. Obviously, the previous Nightwing Rebirth run, and where this book picked up and that run had left off Nightwing, the state of Nightwing was kind of a mess. There's a whole arc where he gets shot, he loses identity, goes by the name Rick Grayson. It's a whole thing. That happens at the end of Tom King's Batman run. Alfred Pennyworth dies at the hands of Bane, and currently in continuity as I record this, he is still dead. It also references Batman Fear State during the James Tynion run of Batman. If you want to hear more about that, check out my Batman by James Tynion video. There's a crossover with Superman, Son of Kal-El, which is a title that was also concurrently being written by Tom Taylor, so obviously there's going to be crossover. And then this run was so successful that it leads into Titans by Tom Taylor. I just made that book video come out too, so go check that out. So it has Beast World tie-ins for the event that's going on there. Now for the story. In my opinion, this book is everything that a Nightwing run should be. It returns Dick Grayson back to his roots, and it's so successful that it changed the entire DC publishing line for a year. It brought the idea to the forefront of the DC universe that Dick Grayson is the beating heart of the universe, as well as saying out loud the idea that Bruce isn't his partner or he's not Bruce's sidekick. The dynamic has always been and will always be father and son, to the point where Tom Taylor writes in this, "I love you, Dad," in a Dick Grayson Bruce Wayne scene. If you're wondering the impact of the larger DC universe, you can go check out my event review, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths by Josh Williamson. Nightwing is at the center of that. And as this run ends and goes into Absolute Power, Nightwing, also a key player in Absolute Power by Mark Waid. Centrally, this run is a love letter to the Chuck Dixon era of Batman and the Bat family, as Marv Wolfman and George Perez's Titans run established Nightwing. Chuck Dixon kind of took what they were doing and propelled it forward. This run simultaneously is honoring both of those. The current class of DC and Marvel writers are going to be pulling, in my opinion, a lot of 90s references because they were readers at the time that those titles are going on. So we're seeing that in a book like this, or even in Tom Taylor's Titans run. The nods to George Perez and Marv Wolfman's Titans you can't ignore it. And the same thing can be said about Chuck Dixon and Scott McDaniel's Nightwing run. I also, if you want to read more of that, DC just released a compendium of Nightwing by Chuck Dixon. He wrote that issue or series for over 100 issues. And so they're starting to compile them. They're not quite getting the omnibus treatment, but if you just want the reading material, go pick up the compendium. And the main crux of this entire series is based on the events spinning out of DC Rebirth's Nightwing mess. Dick Grayson gets shot by KG Beast, and he ran around as Rick Grayson. And then this picks up after he regains his memory and beats up KG Beast. it picks up a lot of the pieces of the old regime running DC and then kind of like puts Nightwing at the center and honestly treats him really, really well moving forward. So now we're going to get into spoilers for the run. So here's your spoiler warning. Upon Alfred's death, Dick Grayson receives a fat inheritance. Alfred was super rich. There are powers in place that don't want to see Bloodhaven become better. They want to see the city become worse. That idea is central in the entire run. It's the driving force of everything concurrently happening behind the scenes in these major arcs. Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon finally decide they want to be together. This is my preferred Dick Grayson romance in lieu of him and Starfire. Nightwing gets a dog named Bitewing, and they give him like a secret identity name, which is really cute and perfect. I'm going to make you read to go find that one out. There's a lot of reflection of Dick's relationship with Bruce as a father figure. It's a lot of exploration into how far they've grown, and it's not the I'm going to be my own man anymore. It's the we are two mutual heroes coexisting in our individual cities, and we look back on the Batman and Robin days fondly, which is good. It's time. It's time for all of everything I'm saying. It's time. The cool part too is that Dick also has individual issues with each of the main Robins. Special moments with Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and Damian. They're all done really, really well. Tom Taylor just knows what he's doing. It's a Nightwing book that isn't afraid of the idea of Robin, which is what I want. It's all part of who this character is. There's also some great issues with Son of Kal-El. Superman has always been a main influence on Nightwing, and he literally gave him the name Nightwing. The fact that the first DC legacy character, being Dick Grayson, can help the first DC superhero's son kind of identify with what it's like to grow up with a larger-than-life superheroic father. The dynamic there is just, it's really great. It's explored really well. Yeah, it's just done, and it's good, and it's fun. So here are some of the new characters in the run. We have Heartless, who's the overarching villain of the story. He straight up like marks people and steals their hearts. Then there's Melinda Zuko, revealed to be Nightwing's sister. A new character I love is Nightmite, which is Nightwing's version of Batmite, which has been really fun to explore. And then there's Bitewing, who is honestly the favorite. All right, now let's hop into the art on this run. Main artist, probably the one who set the tone for the book, is Bruno Redondo, who is a frequent Tom Taylor collaborator. This run is spinning out of what they did on the Suicide Squad, which is a criminally underrated run. So if you love this, go check that out. It's like a 10-issue run. So I think Bruno Redondo is currently one of the best artists working in DC, and his collaborative relationship with Tom Taylor, I just hope to see that propel and move forward. But like the lightning in a bottle of all of that team, everything they did on this run is just incredible. I also just like put this slab here, by the way, because it is signed by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. You want to know how much I love this run? I got the first issue slabbed. I love it, love it, love it. So going back to Bruno Redondo's art, it's so great on the series that it informed, like, because he did the first couple issues so well, it informed like what the fans fell in love with, which was Bruno Redondo's art, to the point where we kind of forced him to do some, I'd want to call them experimental issues that took a lot of time, a lot of planning, but were just incredible fixtures of this run. They would write storylines based on how strong he was able to draw movement and everything. Nightwing 87 is a perfectly sequenced issue, meaning it is just follows Dick Grayson in motion the entire issue. It's really, really good. And then he would do some POV stuff. And so Nightwing number 105 is an entirely point of view of Nightwing issue. It is incredible. I'm selling this run because it just takes up a lot of space, but I'm keeping these issues because they are so perfect. Yeah, Bruno Redondo draws motion, and also his covers on this run were some of the absolute greatest. So I just freaking loved it. So now for the rating. This is an easily 10 out of 10 mandatory DC run for everyone to be reading. There's an upcoming omnibus that's been announced and is going to be released. Again, if you're a DC fan, this is mandatory reading. This was my favorite DC ongoing title for a long time, several years, top of my pull list every single week. It was heartbreaking to find out that their run was coming to an end, but it was so good, and I'm following Tom Taylor with everything he's doing because he writes for the fans. He's a great writer, writes great heart. So they gave him the beating heart of the DC universe. Did you like this run? Leave me a comment. Let me know. My name's Cameron. I'll just read comics. I love them.